Humanity's revenge sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. The alarm screams filled every corner of the colony ship. Captain Hyundai ran down the metal corridor, his boots pounding against the floor. Outside the windows he could see them. The Vraxian ships looked like giant insects made of black metal. There were hundreds of them blocking out the stars. "All hands to escape pods," Han shouted into his communicator. His voice shook, but he forced himself to stay calm. Behind him, colonists ran in panic. Children cried. Parents grabbed their kids and ran toward the emergency exits. The colony world below was burning. Kepler 442b had been humanity's hope. 2 million people lived there. They had farms and schools and homes. Han had visited the surface just yesterday. He ate dinner with a family who showed him their garden. Now from space he could see nothing but fire and smoke. "Captain, they're targeting civilian centers." His officer yelled from the bridge. "They're not even aiming for military targets. They're just killing everyone." Han felt sick. This was not war. This was murder. The Vraxians were destroying everything. Every city, every farm, every small town where humans lived and laughed and dreamed of the future. All of it was burning. His ship, the New Dawn, was not a military vessel. It was a transport ship. They had no weapons, no shields strong enough to fight back. All they could do was run and try to save whoever they could. "Get us into orbit. Pick up any escape pods you can," Han ordered. The ship shook as Vraxian fighters flew past. They were not even shooting at the New Dawn. The humans were so weak, so helpless, that the Vraxians did not see them as a threat. They were too busy destroying the planet below. For 6 hours, Han and his crew worked. They pulled survivors from escape pods. They rescued people from burning stations. In the end, they saved 847 people. 847 out of 2 million. Han stood on the bridge and watched the planet die. He had no tears left. Just cold, empty anger. On Earth, in the Grand Council chamber, Ambassador Yuna Kim stood before the representatives of 47 alien species. The chamber was huge, with seats rising up in circles around her. Each species had their own section. Some looked like animals from Earth. Others looked like nothing humans had ever imagined. Yuna wore her formal Earth uniform. She stood straight even though she felt small in this massive room. In her hands she held a data chip. On it was evidence. Videos of the attack. Recordings of Vraxian commanders laughing as they bombed human cities. Proof that this was an unprovoked massacre. "Honored council members," Yuna began. Her voice echoed in the chamber. "I come before you today to ask for justice. The Vraxian Empire attacked our colony without warning, without reason, without mercy. They killed 2.3 million innocent people. They destroyed homes, schools, hospitals. This was not a military action. This was genocide." She held up the data chip. "I have proof. I have recordings. I have witness testimony. The Vraxians violated every treaty, every law this council claims to uphold." In the Vraxian section, the insectoid ambassador clicked its mandibles. The sound translated through the speakers as laughter. The human speaks of laws she barely understands. "The colony was built in disputed space. We had every right to reclaim it." "That's a lie." Yuna's voice cracked with emotion. "We had full authorization from the survey committee. We followed every protocol." The Vraxian ambassador waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Humans have been part of this council for only 73 years. You are children playing at galactic politics. Perhaps this lesson will teach you to be more careful about where you build your little settlements." Anger boiled inside Yuna, but she forced herself to stay professional. "Chairman, I request a formal investigation and sanctions against the Vraxian Empire." The chairman was a tall, blue-skinned being from the Centauri species. He looked tired, old, and unwilling to cause trouble. "Ambassador Kim, the council will vote on your request." The vote took less than 5 minutes. One by one, the species cast their votes. Some voted to help humanity. Most did not. The Vraxians had power, had friends, had been part of the council for thousands of years. Humanity had nothing. The final count appeared on the screens. 39 species voted to take no action. 8 voted to investigate. The rest abstained. Yuna felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. She had believed in the council. Earth had joined this group thinking it would protect them, guide them, help them join the galactic community. Now she understood the truth. The council protected the strong. The weak were left to die. "This council is a mockery," Yuna said quietly, but her voice was picked up by the microphones and echoed through the chamber. You allow murder because you fear the murderers. You ignore justice because justice is inconvenient. 2 million human lives meant nothing to you. Nothing. Ambassador Kim, the chairman warned. Control yourself. Why should I? Yuna felt something break inside her. All her diplomatic training, all her careful words suddenly seemed pointless. My people are dead. Your laws failed them. Your council failed them. And you sit there and tell me to control myself. The Vraxian ambassador clicked its mandibles again. Perhaps humanity is too emotional for the stars. Too soft, too weak. Your species should stay on your little planet and leave the galaxy to those strong enough to survive it. Yuna looked up at the Vraxian. She memorized every detail of its face. She wanted to remember this moment. This exact moment when she learned what the galaxy really was. We will remember this, she said softly. All of it. She turned and walked out of the council chamber. Behind her, the species returned to their normal business. They had already forgotten about the humans. On the new dawn, Captain Han gathered the survivors. They were crowded into the cargo bay because there was nowhere else to put them. They looked broken. Many had burns. All of them had lost someone. Families were destroyed. Dreams were ash. We're going home, Han told them. Back to Earth. An old man in the crowd spoke up. His voice was rough with smoke and tears. What's the point? They'll just come for Earth next. We're helpless, Han wanted to argue. He wanted to say that Earth was safe, that the Council would protect them, that everything would be okay. But he had heard the news. The Council vote had reached the ship. Everyone knew that humanity was alone. I don't know, Han admitted. I don't know what happens next. But we're still alive. That means we keep going. The survivors looked at each other. Some nodded. Others just stared at the floor. They had survived, but at what cost? What kind of life waited for them now? As the new dawn jumped into hyperspace, heading back toward Earth, Han stood at the window and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vraxians celebrated their easy victory. Somewhere out there, the Council species slept peacefully, glad they had avoided a difficult political situation. But Han knew something they did not. He had been human his whole life. He knew what humans did when they were pushed too far. He knew what happened when someone took everything from them and laughed about it. He did not know what form it would take. He did not know how long it would take. But he knew with absolute certainty that the galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had shown humanity that the rules did not matter. That strength was all that counted. That mercy was weakness. They would regret teaching humanity that lesson. Han was sure of it. Humanity's revenge sent shockwaves. Through the Galactic Council ambassador, Yuna returned to Earth 3 weeks after the Council vote. She did not return as a hero. She returned as the woman who failed to save 2 million people. The media was everywhere when her ship landed. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. She ignored them all and went straight to the emergency meeting. The meeting was held in the Lunar Command Base, hidden on the dark side of the moon. Only the most important leaders of Earth were invited. Prime Minister Wu Te sat at the head of the table. He was a small man with gray hair, but his eyes were sharp and angry. Next to him sat General Su Rei, the head of Earth's Secret Weapons Division. Across the table was Admiral Jae Sung, commander of the Defense Fleet. Scientists, generals, politicians all gathered in one room. Yuna took her seat. She looked exhausted. They laughed at us, she said simply. The Vraxians laughed while describing how they killed our people. And the Council did nothing. Prime Minister Wu nodded slowly. We know, we watched the broadcast. He paused. The question now is, what do we do about it? Admiral Jae spoke up. We negotiate. We build alliances. We grow stronger over time. In 50 years, maybe 100, we'll have the power to demand respect. 50 years? Dr. Hannah Park stood up suddenly. She was a xenobiologist, one of the few scientists who escaped from Kepler 4e2b. Her face was scarred from burns. 50 years? I watched children burn alive. I held a girl who was asking for her mother while her skin melted off. And you want to wait 50 years? The room went silent. Dr. Hannah's voice shook with rage and grief. They'll do it again. To another colony. To another 2 million people. And we'll sit here and talk about patience and diplomacy and waiting our turn. General Su cleared his throat. There is another option. Everyone turned to look at him. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a tablet. On the screen was a logo, Project Prometheus. What is that? Prime Minister Wu asked. It's a weapons program, General Su said calmly. We started it 30 years ago, right after we joined the Council. Some of us never trusted the aliens. We thought, maybe one day we'd need something to protect ourselves. Something the Council couldn't stop. He swiped through the tablet, showing images of weapons, strange devices that looked like science fiction made real. We've been working in secret. Hidden labs on Mars, in the asteroid belt, on stations no one knows about. We've spent trillions of credits. And we've created weapons that no other species has. What kind of weapons? Admiral J asked slowly. General Sue looked around the table. Weapons that violate every Council treaty. Weapons that are illegal in all 47 systems. Planet crackers, Grey goo nanobots, self-replicating hunter-killer AI, stellar compression bombs. The room erupted. Half the people started shouting at once. Some were excited. Others were horrified. Those are war crimes. Admiral J slammed his fist on the table. Any species that uses those weapons is marked for immediate extermination. All 47 Council species will unite to destroy us. They already let 2 million of us die, Dr. Hanna shot back. What's the difference? The difference, Admiral J said through gritted teeth, is that right now we're victims. If we use these weapons, we become the monsters. We become everything we claim to hate. Prime Minister Wu raised his hand for silence. The room gradually quieted. He looked at General Sue. Show me everything. For the next 2 hours, General Sue and his team of scientists explained Project Prometheus. They had weapons that could crack planets in half. They had nanobots that could consume entire fleets, turning metal into more nanobots in an endless cycle. They had AI swarms that could hunt down individual targets across light years. And they had bombs that could make stars collapse and explode. Dr. Jin Lee, the chief scientist, explained how they worked. He was a nervous man who spoke quietly, but his words were terrifying. We reverse-engineered technology from a derelict ship we found 20 years ago. We added our own innovations. These weapons are designed to level the playing field. One human ship with these weapons could destroy a fleet of 1,000. And if we use them? Yuna asked. What happens to Earth? Honestly? Dr. Jin pushed his glasses up. If the Council finds out we have these weapons, they'll probably try to destroy us immediately. But if we use them effectively first, we might create enough fear that they'll negotiate instead of attack. Might, Admiral J repeated. You're gambling with 8 billion human lives on might. They're already gambling with our lives, Dr. Hanna said bitterly. Every day we do nothing, we tell the galaxy it's okay to kill humans. We tell them we're weak. We tell them we'll accept anything. Prime Minister Wu stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the Earth hung in space, beautiful and blue. He had led humanity for 10 years. He had always tried to be peaceful, diplomatic, reasonable. But what good were those things if everyone else had teeth and claws? If we do this, he said slowly, we can never go back. We'll be declaring that humanity is willing to break every rule, cross every line. We'll be starting a war we might not win. We're already in a war, General Sue said. We just haven't been fighting back. Prime Minister Wu turned around. I want to hear from everyone. One by one. Admiral J, you first. Admiral J took a deep breath. I think this is a mistake. I think we should build our fleet, gain allies, play the long game, but... He paused. But I'm also tired of being weak. I'm tired of watching our people die while we beg for scraps of justice. So if this is what we're doing, I'll support it. Yuna went next. I stood in that council chamber and listened to them laugh. I realized then that they see us as nothing. Less than nothing. We're insects to them. Annoying bugs that they can crush whenever they want. If we have to become dangerous to be treated as equals, then so be it. One by one, the others voted. Some were eager for revenge. Others were reluctant but saw no better option. When it came to Dr. Hanna, she did not hesitate. My vote is yes, she said. For every child who died on Kepler 442b. For every family that was destroyed. For everyone who will die if we do nothing. Yes. Finally, it was Prime Minister Wu's turn. He looked old suddenly, as if the weight of the decision had aged him 10 years and 10 minutes. I need to be clear about what we're choosing. We're choosing to kill. Millions of Raxians will die if we do this. Maybe billions. We'll be committing the same crime they committed against us. No, Dr. Hanna interrupted. They attacked first. They killed without warning. We're responding. There's a difference, is there? Prime Minister Wu asked sadly. Will the dead care about the difference? The room was silent. Then General Sue spoke. Sir, with respect, the question is not whether we're good or bad. The question is whether we survive. Whether our species has a future. Everything else is just philosophy. Prime Minister Wu nodded slowly. Then my vote is yes. We proceed with Project Prometheus. General Su, you'll select a strike team. You'll have unlimited resources. You'll plan the operation. And may God forgive us for what we're about to do. General Su smiled grimly. God might forgive us, sir. I doubt the Vraxians will. Over the next week, General Su assembled his team. He needed the best pilots, the best soldiers, the best engineers. He put out a secret call. Volunteers only, extremely dangerous, probably a one-way mission. He expected maybe 100 volunteers. He got over 10,000. Captain Mina Cho was one of the first to volunteer. She was a fighter pilot, one of the best in the fleet. She had lost her sister on Kepler 442b. When she heard about the mission, she did not hesitate. I'm in, she told General Su during her interview. Whatever it is, wherever it is, I'm in. General Su looked at her file. You understand this is likely a suicide mission? You understand you might be branded a war criminal by every species in the galaxy? Mina leaned forward. I understand that my sister was 8 years old. I understand that she was holding her favorite toy when they killed her. I understand that the people who did it are laughing about it. That's all I need to understand. General Su selected 312 people. Pilots, engineers, soldiers, scientists. All of them had lost someone on Kepler 442b. All of them were willing to die for revenge. They gathered in a secret shipyard in the asteroid belt. There they saw the ships for the first time. 23 vessels unlike anything humanity had ever built. They were sleek and black, covered in strange technology that bent light and sensor beams around them. Ghost ships, invisible to almost any detection system. These are yours, General Su told them. Each ship carries enough firepower to destroy a planet. Your mission is simple. Go to Vraxis Prime, their homeworld, and teach them what it feels like to lose everything. Captain Mina looked at the ships and smiled for the first time in weeks. When do we leave? 3 months, General Su said. We need to train you, prepare you, make sure you know every detail of the mission. This has to be perfect. For 3 months, the Ghost Fleet trained. They practiced flying the stealth ships. They learned to use the weapons. They studied the Vraxian homeworld, memorizing every detail, and they prepared themselves mentally for what they were going to do. On the last day before departure, Captain Mina recorded a message to her parents. Mom, Dad, if you're seeing this, I'm probably dead. I want you to know I'm not afraid. I'm doing this for G, for all the kids like her. The Gia! Humanity's revenge sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. The Ghost Fleet left the asteroid belt on a cold morning. 23 black ships slipped away from their hidden dock and disappeared into the darkness of space. No one saw them leave. No satellites tracked them. They were invisible, like shadows moving through the night. Captain Mina sat in the command chair of her ship, the Silent Thunder. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly. Lieutenant Hyun Bak managed tactical systems. Engineer Na Song monitored the weapons. Pilot Yun Jang controlled the flight path. They were all professionals. They all knew what was coming. All ships report ready, Hyun said from his station. His voice was calm, but Mina could see his hands shaking slightly. He was scared. They all were. But they were also determined. Plot course for Zeta Reticuli, Mina ordered. Best possible speed. Let's go hunting. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. The trip would take 3 months. 3 months of waiting, preparing, and thinking about what they were going to do. During the journey, the crew trained every day. They ran combat simulations. They practiced coordinating attacks. They memorized the layout of the Vraxian homeworld system. Every moon, every station, every military base. They knew it all, but training could only fill so much time. In the quiet hours, people talked. They told stories about the people they lost. They shared memories. They cried together and laughed together and tried not to think too hard about what they were becoming. One night, Engineer Na found Captain Mina sitting alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars rushing past. Can't sleep? Na asked. Mina shook her head. Every time I close my eyes, I see my sister. I see her running, trying to get away. I see the bombs falling. She stopped. Her voice was breaking. I see everything. Na sat down next to her. Do you think we're doing the right thing? It was the question everyone thought about but rarely said out loud. Mina was silent for a long moment. I don't know if it's right, but I know it's necessary. The galaxy needs to understand that humans are not prey. We're not victims. If someone attacks us, we attack back. We attack back so hard they regret ever hearing the word human. A lot of Vraxian civilians are going to die, Na said quietly. Kids, families, people who had nothing to do with the attack on Kepler 442b. I know, Mina said. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Just like the human families who died. Just like my sister who was in a school when the bombs hit. The Vraxians didn't care about our civilians. Why should we care about theirs? Na nodded slowly. I just wanted to hear you say it. I wanted to make sure we're all clear about what we're doing. We're clear, Mina said firmly. This is revenge. Pure and simple. And I'm not going to pretend it's anything else. They sat in silence after that, watching the stars. 2 months into the journey, Lieutenant Hyun received a coded message from Earth. It was from Admiral J. The message was simple. Intelligence reports Vraxian fleet movements. They suspect something. Be careful. Hyun brought the message to Mina. She read it and frowned. They suspect something? What do they suspect? Unknown, Hyun said. But there have been attacks on Vraxian military outposts. 3 in the last month. All destroyed with unknown weapons. All blamed on pirates or terrorists. Mina smiled coldly. That wasn't pirates. That was us testing our weapons. Did they work? Perfectly, Hyun confirmed. All 3 outposts were completely destroyed. The Vraxians never saw what hit them. But now they're on alert. Their military is looking for threats. Let them look, Mina said. They won't find us until it's too late. The Ghost Fleet changed its approach. Instead of traveling in a group, they split up. Each ship took a different route to Vraxis Prime. They would arrive separately over the course of a week. It was safer that way, harder to detect. Pilot Yoon was the first to arrive. She guided her ship, the Dark Wind, into the Zeta Reticuli system. Immediately, her sensors lit up with contacts. The Vraxian defense network was massive. Over 1,000 warships patrolled the area. Weapon platforms covered every approach. Fighter wings flew constant patrols. Recording all data, Yoon whispered to herself. Her ship was completely silent, completely invisible. She drifted past a Vraxian cruiser, so close she could see the aliens through the windows. They had no idea she was there. For 3 days, Yoon mapped the entire system. She found the weak points in the defenses. She identified the patrol patterns. She located the military headquarters and the civilian evacuation centers. All the information was transmitted back to the rest of the fleet. One by one, the other ships arrived. They took positions around the system, staying in the shadows, waiting for the signal to attack. Captain Mina was the last to arrive. She brought the Silent Thunder in slowly, carefully. When she finally saw Vraxis Prime on her screen, she felt her heart beat faster. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. 18 billion Vraxians lived there. Cities covered the surface. It was their home, just like Earth was humanity's home. Target locked, Engineer Na reported. All weapons ready. Stellar compression devices are in position. Mina looked at the planet. For just a moment, she hesitated. 18 billion lives. Most of them innocent. Most of them just living their lives unaware that their government had committed genocide against humans. Then she thought about her sister. 8 years old. Dead because someone decided human lives didn't matter. All ships, this is Silent Thunder. Mina broadcast on the encrypted channel. Final weapons check. Report status. One by one, the other 22 ships reported in. All weapons were armed. All systems were ready. The Vraxians still had no idea they were there. We're really doing this, Lieutenant Hyun said quietly. Yes, Mina said. We are. She opened a channel to Earth. It would take the signal an hour to reach home, but she needed to say this. Admiral J, this is Captain Mina Cho. The Ghost Fleet is in position. All ships ready. All weapons armed. We will begin the attack in 60 minutes. If you want to recall us, now is the time. She waited. 60 minutes. The longest hour of her life. She kept staring at the planet, thinking about the people down there, thinking about her sister, thinking about justice and revenge and whether there was any difference. Finally, the response came. Admiral J's voice was heavy with sadness. Captain Cho, you are authorized to proceed. May God have mercy on all of us. Mina closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them and looked at her crew. All stations battle ready. This is it. She activated the fleet-wide channel. All 23 ships were listening. Ghost Fleet, this is your captain. In a few minutes, we're going to do something terrible. We're going to kill billions. We're going to destroy a world. History might remember us as monsters, but we're doing this so that no one ever forgets what happens when you attack humanity. We're doing this so that every species in the galaxy learns to fear us. We're doing this for the 2 million people who died on Kepler 442b. For all the victims who never got justice. This is for them, she paused. Her crew was watching her. She saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. I know some of you are having doubts, Mina continued. I know some of you are wondering if this is right. I can't answer that. But I can tell you this, we're already here. We've already come this far. And if we turn back now, then all those people died for nothing. The galaxy will keep treating us like prey. We'll keep being victims. I don't want to be a victim anymore. I want to be dangerous. I want every alien in the galaxy to hear the word human and feel afraid. She looked at her tactical display. The Vraxian fleet was still patrolling, unaware. The planet was peaceful. For now, all ships arm weapons. Prepare for simultaneous strike. On my mark, we broadcast our message and begin the countdown. Her finger hovered over the button. This was the moment. Once she pressed it, there was no going back. Billions would die. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity would become something new, something feared. Mina thought about her sister one last time. She thought about all the children who died. She thought about the Vraxian ambassador laughing in the council chamber. She pressed the button. All frequencies, maximum power, she ordered. Let them hear us. Her communications officer activated the broadcast. Suddenly, every radio, every television, every communication device in the Vraxian system crackled to life. Mina's voice, speaking perfect Vraxian, echoed across the planet. This is humanity. You slaughtered our people. You mocked our pain. You taught us that power is the only language the galaxy respects. Class dismissed. On the planet below, 18 billion Vraxians stopped what they were doing. They looked at their screens in confusion. What was happening? Who was broadcasting? You have 10 minutes to evacuate, Mina continued. 10 minutes to get as many people as you can off this planet. We're giving you more warning than you gave us. We're being more merciful than you were. But make no mistake, in 10 minutes this system dies. On the surface, panic erupted. Sirens screamed. People ran for evacuation ships. The Vraxian military scrambled their fleet, trying to find the source of the transmission. Captain Mina watched it all on her screens. The countdown had begun. 10 minutes until the Vraxian Empire learned what it meant to make an enemy of humanity. Humanity's revenge sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. The countdown timer showed 9 minutes and 30 seconds. On Vraxis Prime, chaos spread like wildfire. Millions of Vraxians rushed toward spaceports. Parents grabbed their children. Workers abandoned their jobs. Everyone wanted to escape, but there were not enough ships. There would never be enough ships. In the Vraxian military headquarters, Supreme Hive Commander Vreltak watched the situation with growing horror. He was a veteran of 30 campaigns. He had fought pirates, rebels, and rival empires. But this was different. This was an enemy he could not see, could not find, could not fight. All ships, full scan, he ordered. Find them. They have to be somewhere in the system. 1,000 warships activated their most powerful sensors. They searched every corner of space. They found nothing. The humans were invisible, like ghosts. Sir, we're picking up strange energy readings near the star, a sensor officer reported. Multiple objects, very small, arranged in a pattern around the star's equator. Vreltak felt his blood run cold. Show me. The display showed 23 small devices positioned around the system's sun. They were barely detectable, but they were there, and they were active. What are those? Vreltak demanded. Unknown, sir, but the energy readings are impossible. They're somehow affecting the star's gravity. Vreltak understood then. He had heard rumors of such weapons. Forbidden technology that could destabilize stars, make them collapse and explode. But no species had ever actually used them. The cost was too terrible. The consequences too severe. Get every ship to those devices, he shouted. Destroy them now. The Vraxian fleet turned and raced toward the star. But they were too slow, too far away. And the countdown continued. 8 minutes. Captain Mina watched the Vraxian fleet scramble. She felt no satisfaction, no joy, just cold determination. All ships, Phase 2, deploy the hunter swarms. From each of the 23 Ghost Fleet ships, small clouds of nanobots launched. They were invisible to the naked eye, too small for most sensors. They spread through space like a plague, seeking their targets. The first Vraxian cruiser never knew what hit it. The nanobots landed on its hull and began to consume. Metal turned into more nanobots. Within seconds, the consumption spread. The cruiser's hull developed holes. Systems failed. The ship fell apart in less than a minute, transformed into a cloud of hungry machines that immediately sought new targets. Contact lost with Battle Group 7, a Vraxian officer reported. "Sir, they just disappeared." Vreltak watched in horror as ship after ship vanished from his screens. The nanobots spread through the fleet like a virus, consuming everything they touched. Ships exploded, stations fell apart, even the weapon platforms dissolved into clouds of gray dust. 7 minutes. On the planet, the evacuation was failing. Millions crowded the spaceports, but only thousands could board the ships. Fights broke out. People pushed and shoved, desperate to escape. Parents threw their children onto ships and watched as they left without them. In the capital city, a Vraxian mother held her infant and looked up at the sky. She did not understand what was happening. She did not understand why. She just knew that she was going to die. "I'm sorry," she whispered to her baby. "I'm so sorry." 6 minutes. The Vraxian fleet was in ruins. Of the 1,000 ships that guarded the system, less than 300 remained. The nanobots had consumed the rest. Vreltak ordered his surviving ships to retreat, to save themselves. But many chose to stay, to try to destroy the devices around the star. They were loyal. They were brave. They died. 5 minutes. Captain Mina received a transmission from Earth. It was Prime Minister Wu. His face on the screen looked old and sad. "Captain Cho, the whole galaxy is watching. Every species has picked up your broadcast. They know what's about to happen. They're calling us monsters. They're demanding we stop." Mina's voice was cold. "Did they call the Vraxians monsters when they killed our people? Did they demand they stop?" "No," Prime Minister Wu admitted. "They did not." "Then they can watch," Mina said. "They can watch and learn." 4 minutes. The evacuation ships began to leave, thousands of them, lifting off from every spaceport. They carried maybe 3 billion Vraxians, 3 billion out of 18 billion. The rest would die here on their homeworld, watching the sky and waiting for the end. Some Vraxians prayed to their gods. Others held their families. Some just sat in silence, accepting their fate. In a school on the southern continent, a teacher gathered her students. They were young, barely old enough to understand what was happening. She told them stories to keep them calm. She told them about heroes and adventures. She did not tell them they were all about to die. 3 minutes. Lieutenant Hyun looked at Captain Mina. "Captain, we could stop this. We could disable the devices. We've made our point. They're terrified. They'll never attack us again." Mina shook her head. "If we stop now, they'll see it as mercy. They'll think we're weak. They'll think we hesitated. We can't hesitate. Not now." "But the civilian," Hyun started. "Where were the civilians when they attacked Kepler 442b? Mina interrupted. "Where were the Vraxian civilians who voted for their government? Who supported their military? Who cheered when they claimed disputed territory? They're all complicit. They all let it happen." Hyun had no answer. He turned back to his station and watched the countdown. 2 minutes. On Earth, people gathered to watch the broadcasts. Every television, every computer, every screen showed the same thing. Vraxis Prime, peaceful and beautiful, with 90 seconds left to live. Some humans cheered. Some cried. Some just watched in silent horror at what their species had become. Dr. Hana sat in her apartment and watched. She thought about the children she had tried to save on Kepler 442b. She thought about the ones who died in her arms. She thought about the Vraxian children who were about to die, and she felt nothing, just emptiness. 1 minute. The last evacuation ships cleared the planet's atmosphere. They jumped to hyperspace, carrying the lucky survivors. Below them, 15 billion Vraxians remained. They stood on the streets, on rooftops, in their homes. They looked up at the sky and waited. Vreltak watched from his flagship, now retreating to a safe distance. He had failed. He had failed his people, his empire, his world. But he would survive to witness what came next. 30 seconds. Captain Mina's finger hovered over the activation button. She thought about her sister one last time. She thought about whether this was justice or just revenge. She thought about whether there was any difference. She pressed the button. "All devices activate," she said quietly. Around the star, 23 stellar compression devices fired simultaneously. Exotic particles bombarded the star's core. Gravity multiplied. The delicate balance that kept the star burning was shattered. The star began to collapse. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The star looked the same. But its light began to change, shifting toward blue as gravity increased. Then it began to shrink. Faster and faster, collapsing inward. On Vraxis Prime, the sky changed color. The sun turned blue, then white, then began to disappear. The temperature dropped, then it rose. The planet shook. "May your gods forgive me," Mina whispered, "because I never will." The star collapsed to a point smaller than a planet. All its mass, all its energy compressed into a space impossibly small. The laws of physics bent, reality screamed. Then the star exploded. The shockwave moved at the speed of light. It hit Vraxis Prime in 8 minutes. The planet's atmosphere ignited. Oceans boiled. The crust melted. In seconds, the entire planet turned into a ball of plasma. 15 billion Vraxians died instantly, vaporized before they could even feel pain. The moon shattered. The space stations evaporated. The surviving Vraxian ships at the edge of the system watched their homeworld die in a flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns. Captain Mina watched it all. She did not blink. She did not look away. She forced herself to see what she had done. "Broadcast everything," she ordered. "Every sensor reading, every camera angle, every measurement. Send it to every species in the galaxy. Let them all see what happens when you attack humanity." The Ghost Fleet transmitted everything. The destruction of Vraxis Prime was recorded in perfect detail and sent across the galaxy. Every council species received the data. Every government, every news organization, every citizen who had access to galactic communication saw the same thing. A planet dying, a star exploding, and a human voice calmly explaining that this was the price of making humanity angry. Vreltak sat on his flagship and watched his world die. He thought about all the times he had laughed at the weak, all the times he had supported aggressive expansion, all the times he had believed that strength was all that mattered. "We were so wrong," he said to himself. "We thought they were weak. We thought they were nothing. We were so wrong." The Ghost Fleet regrouped on the far side of the system. All 23 ships had survived. They had accomplished their mission. They had destroyed the Vraxian homeworld and shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be taken lightly. Captain Mina sat in her command chair and felt empty. They had won. They had taken revenge. But the victory felt hollow. She had become a mass murderer. She had killed more people in one day than most species killed in their entire history. "Captain," Lieutenant Hune said quietly, "Earth is trying to contact us." Mina nodded. "Put them through." Admiral J. Humanity's revenge sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. The emergency council session began 3 days after Vraxis Prime died. Representatives from all 47 species filled the chamber. But this time the atmosphere was different. Before, the council had been confident, comfortable in their power. Now everyone was afraid. Ambassador Yuna walked into the chamber flanked by 2 guards. Behind her came Captain Mina and 5 members of the Ghost Fleet. They wore their military uniforms and walked with their heads high. They were not ashamed. They were not apologetic. They were defiant. The chamber erupted the moment they entered. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Some called for their immediate execution. Others demanded Earth be destroyed. The noise was deafening. The chairman banged his gavel, trying to restore order. Silence. We will have order. It took several minutes for the chamber to quiet. When it finally did, the chairman looked at Yuna with barely concealed anger. Ambassador Kim, your species has committed the worst war crime in galactic history. You have destroyed an entire planet, killed 15 billion sentient beings, violated every treaty, every law, every principle this council stands for. What do you have to say for yourself? Yuna stepped forward. Her voice was calm, cold, and absolutely certain. I say that you created this. Every single one of you. You sat in this chamber and voted to do nothing when the Vraxians killed 2 million humans. You laughed at our pain. You told us we were too weak to matter. You taught us that power is the only thing you respect. Well, now we have power, and now you're paying attention. The Vraxian delegate stood up. He was not Freltak, who had died trying to defend his homeworld. This was a new representative, younger, filled with rage and grief. You murdered 15 billion of my people. Children, families, innocents. Like you murdered ours? Yuna shot back. Where was your concern for innocence when you bombed Kepler 442b? Where was your mercy when you destroyed human cities filled with children and families? You taught us this lesson. We were simply better students than you expected. A representative from the Centauri species stood up. This is madness. If every species responds to violence with greater violence, the galaxy will tear itself apart. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you allowed the Vraxians to attack us without consequence, Yuna replied. You created a system where the strong can prey on the weak. You maintained peace by letting bullies do whatever they wanted. Well, humanity is not weak anymore, and if that makes you uncomfortable, then change your system. The chairman tried to regain control. The council proposes the following resolution. Earth will immediately dismantle all illegal weapons programs. The individuals responsible for the Vraxis Prime attack will be surrendered for trial. Failure to comply will result in immediate military action by all council species. Yuna smiled. It was not a friendly smile. And how many ships do you think you'll need to attack Earth? How many planets are you willing to lose? Because I promise you, if you come for us, we will take a lot of you with us. We've proven we have weapons you can't defend against. We've proven we're willing to use them. So the question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to start a war you might not win? The chamber fell silent. The threat was clear. Humanity had shown it could destroy planets. If the council attacked Earth, the humans would retaliate. And no one wanted their homeworld to be next. A representative from the Polaris species, a group known for their diplomacy, stood up. Perhaps there is another way. Perhaps we can negotiate. Now you want to negotiate? Yuna laughed bitterly. Where was this willingness to negotiate when we begged for justice? When we showed you evidence of Vraxian war crimes? When we pleaded with you to help us? The Polaris representative looked uncomfortable. We made mistakes. The council made mistakes. But more violence will not fix those mistakes. Yuna looked around the chamber. She saw fear in their faces. Good. Fear meant respect. Fear meant they would think twice before attacking humanity again. Here are our terms, Yuna said. First, the council will establish a real justice system, the Interspecies Justice Tribunal, with the power to investigate and punish war crimes. Second, the council will pass laws making unprovoked attacks on colonies illegal with real consequences. Third, humanity gets a permanent seat on the council security committee. And fourth, all charges against Earth and the Ghost Fleet are dropped. That's outrageous, the Vraxian delegate shouted. You commit genocide and demand rewards? We commit genocide and demand that it never happens again, Yuna corrected. To anyone, not just humans. You want to punish us? Fine, but first establish a system where what the Vraxians did to us would have been punished. Create a galaxy where justice actually means something. Do that and we'll dismantle our weapons. Refuse and we'll keep them as insurance. The council chamber erupted into argument again. Species shouted at each other. Alliances formed and broke. Some species wanted to attack Earth immediately. Others wanted to negotiate. A few quietly admitted that maybe humanity had a point. The debate lasted for hours. Finally, the chairman called for a vote. All species in favor of establishing the Interspecies Justice Tribunal and accepting Earth's terms, vote now. One by one, the votes came in. Some species voted against, still angry about Vraxis Prime, but many voted in favor. They were afraid of human weapons. They were tired of the old system. They wanted change. The final count was 28 in favor, 19 against. Humanity had won. Back on Earth, Prime Minister Wu addressed the planet. Billions of humans watched as he spoke from the lunar base. Today the galaxy has changed, he said. We paid a terrible price to be heard. 15 billion Vraxians died because their government attacked us and the council did nothing. That blood is on all our hands. We must never forget the cost of what we did. We must never celebrate it. But we must also never regret it. Because what we did ensured that no one will ever dismiss humanity again. He paused, looking tired and old. The council has agreed to our terms. We are no longer the weakest species. We are no longer prey, but with power comes responsibility. We must use our new position to make sure that what happened to Kepler 442b never happens to anyone else. We must be the ones who stand up for the weak, who fight for justice, who ensure that power is not the only thing that matters in this galaxy. On the lunar memorial for the Kepler 442b victims, Captain Mina stood alone. The memorial was simple, a wall with 2 million names carved into black stone. She found her sister's name and placed her hand on it. I did it, G, she whispered. I made them pay. I made them all pay. I hope you can forgive me for what I had to do to keep my promise. Behind her, Dr. Hana approached quietly. Do you feel better? Mina shook her head. No, I feel empty. I killed 15 billion people. I destroyed a world. I became exactly what I hated. But you changed the galaxy, Dr. Hana said. The council is reforming. Species that were bullied for centuries are finally getting protection. What we did was terrible, but the results might save billions of lives in the future. Does that make it right? Mina asked. I don't know, Dr. Hana admitted. I think we'll spend the rest of our lives wondering that. But I know this. My patients on Kepler 442b didn't die for nothing anymore. Their deaths changed the galaxy. That has to mean something. Mina nodded slowly. She looked up at Earth, hanging in the sky above them. Her home. The home of 8 billion humans who were now safe because she had done something unforgivable. I'll never sleep easy again, she said. Every night I see their faces. The Vraxians who died. The ones I killed. Good, Dr. Hana said gently. If you stopped feeling guilty, that would mean you'd lost your humanity. The guilt proves you're still human. They stood together in silence, two people who had committed terrible acts for what they believed was a good reason. They would carry that burden for the rest of their lives. In the following months, the galaxy slowly adjusted to the new reality. The Interspecies Justice Tribunal was established. Its first case was investigating the Vraxian attack on Kepler 442b. The verdict was clear. The Vraxians had committed war crimes. The surviving Vraxian government was ordered to pay reparations to humanity. 17 species signed defense treaties with Earth. They wanted human protection. They wanted to be on humanity's side. The balance of power had shifted completely. Admiral Han, now in charge of Earth's expanded fleet, oversaw the construction of new ships. Not weapons of mass destruction, but proper warships for defense. Humanity was building a fleet that could protect not just Earth, but their allies as well. Ambassador Yuna continued to serve on the council, but she was different now. Harder, more cynical. She had learned that idealism meant nothing in galactic politics. Only power mattered. She would spend the rest of her career trying to change that, trying to build a system where justice was real, not just a word. The Ghost Fleet was disbanded. The crew members went their separate ways, trying to rebuild their lives. Some became heroes, some became pariahs. Most just tried to live quietly with what they had done. Captain Mina retired from the military. She opened a small school on Luna, teaching children about space and science and exploration. She never talked about Vraxis Prime, but every year on the anniversary of the attack she visited the memorial and placed flowers for her sister. One day, 5.